Hi, I'm Kevin, and I wanted to show some of DreamFactory's new capabilities we're going to be rolling out in the coming weeks. With the rise of agents in the MCP protocol, everyone is eager to connect their datasets to LLMs, which at the surface might seem like a simple task. But as you explore production environments, you quickly realize it's not as simple as plugging your databases into these LLMs. It's actually the exact opposite. You want to be deterministic in the way you are exposing data to these models, and DreamFactory's Data AI Gateway makes it simple. We provide an easy 5-step process that allows you to securely expose your data to LLMs via MCP with no code, but the peace of mind that you are only exposing the necessary data for your projects, allowing you to sleep at night knowing agents or any models are not interacting with your data in a manner you have not approved. So let's get started. Here, we're in the new AI tab of DreamFactory. This is where we can get started connecting our database and getting it ready to expose via MCP for LLMs to communicate with. We will start by choosing our database type. DreamFactory now supports over 70 native integrations, such as popular ones like SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, Postgres, Snowflake, and Databricks. In this demonstration, we'll stick to Microsoft SQL Server, and I will connect to SQL Server here. Next, we're prompted to establish a connection to that database. I'll go ahead and plug in our relevant credentials, such as the host, database name, username, and password. Now that I've added in those credentials, I will come to the bottom and create that service and continue. Now that our API has been created and we have established a connection, we now have to set up our permissions for our dataset. We get a quick high-level overview of all the tables that we can expose from that SQL Server instance, and whether we want to make those read-only, read-write, or if we want full CRUD capabilities. For our purposes, we will be conservative and make them read-only, and I'll go ahead and say read-only to the cities table and the countries table for now. I'll come to the bottom again and generate our permission set here. Now what this is doing is generating our role-based access control and API key. At this point, that API key has been generated for us, and we're even able to test out that API and its security through this curl request. I'll go ahead and take a look at that cities table we have exposed and run the test. We get our successful status code and our cities information back to us as a RESTful response JSON. If I try to call, for example, the people table, which I did not grant access to, and I run that test, we see that request fails. User is not authenticated. Access was not granted to this data. Now we have the peace of mind that we have only exposed the cities and countries, and we can proceed on. Now we are brought to our quick start that allows us to now bring this MCP out to the likes of Claude Desktop, Cursor, VS Code, and the list goes on here. So our AI setup is complete, and we can actually drop this straight into Claude Desktop. So let's do that and start talking with our data. I'll go ahead and copy this configuration file. and I'll catch you over in the Claude setup. Here we open up the Claude desktop config JSON, drop what we copied in from DreamFactory here. We will save that file, and now we can jump into Claude and see our MCP tools loaded. Here in Claude Desktop, we can now go ahead and see that the MCP tools are loaded in and available to us. I'll go ahead and ask it to show us the cities table. It's going to utilize the tools available to it. In this case, it's going to get the tables and the schema and load some sample data for us as it appears. What's great about DreamFactory is it exposes the schema endpoint to rapidly give LLMs additional context about the data it's interacting with. Noting early on in our configuration, we only granted access to the cities and countries tables. If I now ask it to show us the people table, which it does not have access to, but does exist in the database, that request should fail. And it looks like those requests do in fact fail, and Claude doesn't know how to interpret that, which is fine. We can go ahead and add some additional context for it to give us a better experience with errors, but we now have the peace of mind knowing that these agents and LLMs are not able to access any of the data that we have not explicitly granted access to. We are very excited about these capabilities and can't wait to get it in your hands. If you'd like early access, please reach out to us at dreamfactory.com or DSP support at dreamfactory.com. We look forward to hearing from you.